Hello, welcome back to Lenz's Comic Corner, Classics / Non-Classics. This episode was the first one in a while. I've done one of these. First time since episode 272. This is a triple shot. Number 14. Yep. Excuse me. Okay, first one. Batman, The Return of Bruce Wayne by Grant Morrison. And there are various different artists on here with Andy Kubert, Lee Gilbert, Roy Snook, Georges, Gene Lee, Yadek Patagi, I think that's how you pronounce the person's name, Fraser Irving, and Chris Sprung. Now, pretty much with this miniseries, it picks up chronologically for, in the case of Bruce Wayne Batman, right after the events of Final Crisis. He was sent to the past by Darkseid, and he's slowly crawling his way back to the future. And the first place he ends up is caveman times. Yep. And because he's in caveman times, he encounters, of all people, I mean, he looks like this when he comes out. Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, pretty much he's pretty much lost his cape and cowl. He takes off his cape and cowl and his shirt. All he's got off is his pants, boots, and his belt. Let's see here. Trying to find it. Yeah, these issues are really big. The person he encounters in this issue is Vandal Savage. Caveman times, why not encounter Vandal Savage? Yep, perfectly fine. In the next issue, issue 2, he encounters an actual sort of real-life person. Well, this one he's in Puritan times. There's no character from this era in this one, but there's a relative of his in this particular time period. It is, if I can find his name here, it's Nathaniel Wayne, who apparently is a judge. This is from the Salem Witch Trials. That's issue 2. 3, he encounters a real-life person. He encounters, believe it or not, Blackbeard the Pirate. Yep, he encounters Blackbeard. And basically, he's in pirate times. Yep, he's in time with Golden Age of Piracy. Yep, and it's a really fun issue. In issue 3, he goes to the Old West. Yep, and he keeps his belt with him. And he encounters, because it's the West, there's only one famous hero he encounters in this era. Jonah Hex. Yep, Jonah Hex. He encounters Jonah Hex in this issue. I think he's in the next issue as well, if I'm not mistaken. I think he might be in just this one issue. Yeah, and I think it's issue 4 he goes to, I think it's supposed to be, well, it looks like the 30s. Yeah, it looks like the 30s, especially about the way the cars look. Yeah, he ends up in the 30s in issue 4. Then, yeah, that's where he goes for issue 4, and then for the last couple issues, he's back in present day. Yep, he's back in present day. Actually, issue 5, but yeah, he's back in present day, and the way the ending goes, it kind of leads into the events of Batman and Robin issue 15, the first time of the series. But yeah, this is one of the most bizarre. It's considered to be one of the most bizarre things ever happened to Batman. Him going through time, but this is still a great series. I highly recommend it. And this is a new printing did this because, of course, the Peel logo is this. This particular trade was released, let's see here. Well, this trade was released like 5 years ago, but I'm hoping this is not too hard to track down because I'm sure it's not that hard anyways, but it's Grant Morrison. It's one of his best works he ever did. But, of course, after this, he did, the events has led into the Batman Returns, which was a series of one-shots, and then, of course, that led to Batman Inc. and some other stuff. But, yeah, this is great. 9 out of 10. Next up is X-Men Rise of Apocalypse. Now, the only reason why the Marvel released this trade is because of the X-Men Apocalypse film. This book contains Rise of Apocalypse 1 through 4, further Adventures of Cyclops Phoenix 1 through 4, X Apocalypse vs. Draken 1 through 4, Black Knight Exodus, and Fantastic Four 19. Now, interesting little fact about the third and fourth issue of the series. They take place at the same time as the classic Fantastic Four 19 issue that was released back in the 60s. The miniseries itself is really bizarre art style. Excuse me. It's written by Terry Kavanaugh, but the artwork is a bit bizarre. But it's early. Yeah, I think it's kind of looked like maybe early 90s artwork. If I can put this right here, it is. Yeah, but it's early 90s. But Terry Kavanaugh writes the Rise of Apocalypse series, which is really good. I highly recommend it. It has good writing, but okay looking artwork. It's a bit exaggerated a bit, but it's still a great miniseries. What comes after this is the Black Knight Exodus one shot, which is written by Ben Rabb, who actually has done a few issues of Green Arrow, which have never been collected, by the way. It's a pretty decent issue for what it is. It's well written. The second miniseries is in here is Further Adventures of Cyclops Phoenix. This one's written by Peter Milligan, who was the original writer of Justice League Dark, who is also the writer currently of. I think he's the writer of Britannia for Valiant, and I believe he's the writer for the series Discipline, published by Skybound via Image. It's a great miniseries, and the artwork is better than the first miniseries. Now, this miniseries is all about just Cyclops and Phoenix going back in time, witnessing the origin of Mr. Sinister. Yep, that's really the whole point of this miniseries, just to rise Mr. Sinister. It has barely anything to do with Apocalypse. So he's in the miniseries for a couple issues, but it's mainly just to rise Mr. Sinister. That's really the whole point of the miniseries. Yep. And then we have, right after that, my favorite miniseries in the whole trade, X-Men, the X-Men Apocalypse / Dracula. This is a great miniseries. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's written by Frank Terry. I'm not sure what current book he does, but the most recent book he did was, I think, Catwoman and Black Knight. He did those recently. But this, much better artwork than the previous two miniseries, though the second one is slightly better. But this miniseries is just so fantastic. I kind of wish this one right here, this one was a little bit longer than 4 issues. It is just pure fantastic greatness at its finest. It's a great miniseries. And this is the second time it's worked in trade. They had one point where they had Apocalypse team up with Van Helsing to take on Dracula himself, who was wearing not wearing the way he's dressed in here. Dracula is dressed like this, the red armor thing, which is traditionally how Marvel has Dracula now, because they don't want to face lawsuits from Universal with the Ben Lugosi look. Yeah, they had the Ben Lugosi back in the 70s, but nowadays, nope. It's just yeah, but it's a great miniseries. And of course, they threw in the classic Fantastic Four 19 by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. But really, the whole point of this issue is that it's the first appearance of Remo Tut, who will later become King the Conqueror. But issues 3 through 4 of Rise of Apocalypse take place during this very issue right here, because Fantastic Four show up in issues 3 and 4. That's the reason why. This is a great trade. It came out just recently. I think so. Yeah, came out just recently, and you can actually gotta find it. This is really good. You actually, if you're interested and curious about the backstory of Apocalypse, this can give it to you. This is great. Not 8.5 out of 10. This one's good. All right, next up is the second and last trade of the Star Wars Kanan series. This one is Volume 2, First Blood, containing issues 7 through 12. Now, 7 through 11 is a 5-part. That's one thing that I do like Greg Weisman writes this. And the artwork is done by Pepe Larraz, who does issues 7 through 11, and Andrea Barcardo does the final issue. Now, issues 7 through 11, that takes place during the Clone Wars. And I think this woman's supposed to be his master. And it just basically... It's just a little adventure story. It's a fun little one. The last issue takes place during the Rebels TV show. But if you're ever curious about the backstory. If you want to know, just basically, it's like, it's just a fun little adventure story featuring Kanan before the series ends, because according to Wiseman, I heard in an interview that he did, that originally he was only commissioned to do about 5 issues. Well, issue 6 was kind of the epilogue for it. He was originally commissioned to do about 6, but he decided to do 6 more. Originally, this was supposed to be a 6-issue limited series, but turned into a 12-issue ongoing series. Of course, he later on went on to do Starry Bright Nightmask, which is a great series. Too bad it got canceled to 6 issues. Yep. And of course, prior to the first issue coming out, he was already working on issue 3 already. But I enjoyed that series. This series I enjoyed too. Overall, if you're curious about the character Kanan from Star Wars Rebels, I do recommend reading this. It's only 2 books, and then you're done. Yep, that's it. First book is simply like what Kanan was up to prior to the start of the Star Wars Rebels TV show. This one is what he was doing during the Clone Wars. Yep. And the artwork is fantastic for this series. Now, I do recommend this particularly for people who are fans of Star Wars and people who are fans of the Star Wars Rebels TV show. That's really who I recommend it to. For casual reader, you might enjoy this, you might not. But chronologically for Kanan, after the events of the first story arc, I would say next thing to read is New Dawn, which is, by the way, is referenced in the last issue. Yeah, the book New Dawn is referenced. So pretty much you can say that the 12th issue takes place during season 1 of the show. But that's just my theory about it. But this is great. 9 out of 10. I do recommend it. Alright, that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode, which should be hopefully another double shot. It'll probably be double shot probably around 240-ish. And of course, next episode is episode, I believe it's 310 if not mistaken. Yeah, it's 310 next episode with double shot 240 hopefully. Okay? But until then, I will see you there. Bye.